So we'll do the invocation. Sargasthiti pralaya hetum achintya shaktim. Pralaya hetum achintya shaktim. Vishveshwaram vidita vishwamananta murtim. Vishveshwaram vidita vishwamananta murtim. Nirmukta bandhanam apara sukhamburashim. Nirmukta bandhanam apara sukhamburashim. Shri Vallabham vimalabodhaganam namami. Shri Vallabham vimalabodhaganam namami. Yasya prasadadahameva Vishnu. Prasadadahameva Vishnu. Mayyeva sarvam parikalpitam cha. Mayyeva sarvam parikalpitam cha. Itham vijanami sadatmarupam. Itham vijanami sadatmarupam. Tasyangri padmam pranatosmi nityam. Tasyangri padmam pranatosmi nityam. Now we come to verse number 28. Verse number 28. Now we want to ascertain the meaning of the word tat. We have ascertained the meaning of the word tvam. Two meanings. Vachyartha, the direct meaning. I, the consciousness with causal body, subtle body and physical body. And lakshyartha, I, the consciousness. Pure consciousness. That is the meaning of tvam, you. What is the meaning of that? You are that. So that. 28. Tvamarthamevam nishchitya. Tvamarthameva nishchitya. Tadartham chintayit punaha. Tadartham chintayit punaha. Atadvyavritti rupena. Atadvyavritti rupena. Sakshad vidhimukhena cha. Sakshad vidhimukhena cha. When the meaning of the word thou is thus ascertained, one should think over what is meant by the word that, by negating what is other than Brahman and also according to direct positive method. Okay, before we go on, let me use the diagram. See how useful the diagram is. According to Vedanta, what is God? Tat. In fact, in all religions, God is that from which the entire universe comes. God is the creator. Any religion that believes in God, theistic God, believes that God is the creator, defines God as the creator. In fact, Vedanta also does that. Taittiriya Upanishad says, from which all this has come, in which all this exists, and into which all this disappears, that is God. In terms of this diagram, from which all this on this side of the blue line, all this has come, in which all this exists, into which all this disappears. That is called God. On left side, God is there. Definition. In Vedanta Sar, you will remember, if you those who have attended the classes, that we define God as samashti ajnana upahita chaitanyam. So that gives us a clue. Chaitanyam, consciousness, associated with samashti ajnanam. Ajnanam means the individual, the causal bodies which we have, what we call our Anandamaya Kosha, the causal body, this one. So if I am this, I have a mind and I have a causal body. Causal body is this. This is causal body, subtle body, physical body. So causal body is also known as ajnanam, ignorance, because that's our experience in deep sleep. I slept happily, I did not know anything. Sukham aham aswapsama nakinchid avedisham. I slept happily, I did not know anything. that I did not know anything, where all sensory system is shut down. I don't know the external world. All the mental functions are shut down. I don't dream or know anything internally also. I know nothing externally, I know nothing internally, but I am like a suspended animation. I just go into blankness. That one is the causal body. Now, every living being has a causal body like that. And all these causal bodies, they are all parts that they can be combined into a total, and that total is called Maya. So this consciousness associated with the total causal bodies, samashtya jnana, upahita means associated with, or limited by. Another meaning is infinite consciousness limited by Maya, associated with Maya. That is the definition of God. Saguna Brahma, another name for God in Vedanta is Saguna Brahma. Another name is Ishvara, Bhagavan, Ishvara, Saguna Brahma. So that is the definition. What does this God do? This pure consciousness, which is Satchidananda, is, when it becomes associated with Maya, extraordinary powers come to it. And what kind of powers come to it? Omniscience, all-knowing, omnipotence, all power, all the capacity to do everything, create the universe, maintain the universe, and finally dissolve the universe. All power. Sarva ishitritvam, it will come. All controlling. So everything that takes place here is entirely under the will of God. I was just telling somebody here, a couple of days back I was reading in the Inspired Talks, Swami Vivekananda says, whatever you think of this universe as a universe of physical laws or of fate, you think of it as fate, it is all God's will. All of this, whatever is going on this side. So, total control over everything, the lordship of everything. Whose? God, Satchidananda. You say, just a minute, I don't get it. I am the Satchidananda, right? We just said in the last 2 or 3 classes, I don't have those powers. Yes, but those powers are not intrinsic to the Atman. They come because of the presence of this. Because of the presence of Maya. So all-pervading, all-knowing, all-powerful, all of these powers come because of power. Maya itself is Shakti. So these are the powers which come. And with these powers, God creates. One question here might be, how come I am also this Brahman, this Atman, that's what we discovered, and I don't have any of these powers? I also have this causal body, so how come I don't have powers? Rather, it limits me. This causal body for me, it's called avidya or ajnana, ignorance. What does it do to me? It makes me so tiny and powerless. I, the infinite existence, consciousness, bliss, now I become an ever-changeful, fickle mind in a very weak and short-lived body, thrust into a vast universe. How come the same thing can give all this power, and in my case it'd be all this smallness and weakness? So Sri Ramakrishna explains it this way, that the cobra, with a little bit of the poison in its poison glands, in its mouth, in the poison glands, it can bite its prey, maybe a frog or a mouse or something, and knock it out. Maybe kill it or knock it unconscious. And all that poison is in the mouth of the cobra. It doesn't do anything to the cobra. Rather, it is the power of the cobra. Another way of putting it is, we as individual beings, we are Maya-dhina. We are under the domain of Maya. God is Maya-dhisha, the ruler of Maya. Another way is, we are under the effect of Maya. Effect it's not bad. We can call ourselves the beneficiaries of Maya. And the benefits are dealt to us by Ishvara through Maya. Another way we can understand what? How is it that we, the same reality, can be so powerless and Ishvara can be so powerful? Another way of looking at it is, when we think about a democratic country, each one of us has one vote. And because we have one vote, we become the ruled. The one who gets all the votes, that one becomes our ruler. So you have one vote, you become one of these. You get all the votes, you become this. Anyway, this is sort of another way of looking at it. But basically, Maya in totality confers all these powers on consciousness. Maya in its limited forms is actually limiting to consciousness. So it puts us in ignorance. For us, Maya, so this Maya does two things. Avarana vikshepa. Avarana means it hides the reality. What is reality? Pure being, pure awareness, pure bliss, Sat Chid Ananda. And then vikshepa means projects. It projects this. It projects a fractured, limited universe. Swami Vivekananda said, the universe is the wreckage of the infinite on the shores of time, space, and causation. Time, space, and causation, this is Maya. And what is this? This is the same thing, seen from this side of Maya. You look at it, it looks like this. And you look at it from this side, it looks like this. And it's the same reality. We were reading yesterday Swami Subodhanandaji looking at Calcutta from the veranda of Belur Math, reading Adhyatma Ramayana. He says, Brahma Satyam. He sees everything is Thakur, Sri Ramakrishna. The whole city, the river and everything. And then he looks down again, reads Jagat Mithya, the world is an appearance, is false. He looks up, he sees everything as heaps of ashes. So it is the same reality. Now in his case, in the case of the enlightened ones, Maya does not hide Brahman. The projection of Brahman as this form continues, but the enlightened one sees that it is this alone appearing as all this. And when he sees all this, he sees this also. Sees means not objectively, knows that it is the same gold appearing in so many forms as ornaments. Why knows? It's not a theoretical knowing, it's a direct seeing actually. When you look at the waves in the ocean, do you say that, yeah, I am seeing the waves, but after reading a lot of geography, I know it is all water? No, you say, I'm seeing the water. Oh, aren't you seeing the waves? Yeah, I'm seeing the waves. So now aren't you seeing the water? I'm seeing the water also. Are they two things? No, they are not two things. It's the same thing. So, Sri Ramakrishna also said, it's the ocean calm is this, and the ocean in motion, waves and all, it's like this. But for us, that's not our vision. Our vision is, this seems very theoretical. We have to learn it from Vakya Vritti. And this one is our absolute solid reality, this one. Now, what does Brahman with Maya? Now it is called Saguna Brahman. Brahman by itself, Nirguna Brahman. The absolute. Brahman with Maya. Again, with Maya is not increased. It's actually limited. Brahman associated with Maya is now the creator of this universe. So Brahman associated with Maya, what happens? Again, encapsulated from in Vedanta Sara. It's not there in Vakya Vritti. The 5 elements appear. Akasha. I'll quote from the Taittiriya Upanishad. Tasmad va etasmad atmanah akasha sambhuta akashad vayo ragnir apa adbhya prithivi. So from this Atman, because of Maya, appears space and air and fire and water and earth, and they get mixed up. There are subtle forms of these elements which get mixed up to make these subtle bodies. And then if you remember, this whole process, panchikaranam, mixing up of the elements in 5s, and they produce physical living bodies and the physical universe. Basically, to put it very briefly, God produces the universe with the power of this Maya. Why can't I do it? Because your power or your associate is this tiny little thing, quite helpless, pathetic. And so we end up being pretty pathetic. Whereas God's associate is this tremendously powerful thing. Same electricity, but now there's a 0 power bulb and a 1,000,000 power bulb. It lights up like a dim blinking light. The manifestation is that. Another one is like a blazing floodlight. Yes. We'll come to that, yes. So the question is, Maya too is within Brahman? Yes, everything is within Brahman. This and all its products. And you say, oh, then you are Maya plus Brahman, right? There are 2 things. Nope. There's actually only one thing. And that's why it's color-coded. This is the Maya and all its products are appearances. And Brahman is the only reality. That's why it's non-duality. All of this, including Maya, does not constitute a second reality apart from Brahman. Why not? I can count so many realities. Here is Brahman. Here is Maya, mind, 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 body, 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 and the external world. So, why not? Yeah. Because, after all, what is Brahman? Sat, being. How can anything exist? How can anything exist and yet be other than being? It's like saying all the hundreds of waves in the lake, are they water plus hundreds? Is there 101 things there? If there are 100 waves in the lake, is there 101 things, water and 100 waves? No. The 100 waves are nothing but water. The moment you count water, how many things are there in that lake? One thing, water. If you count the waves separately, you're counting the names and forms. You can have hundreds, thousands, increasing, decreasing. So, Maya does not constitute a countably second reality. Because it's not countably second, you can't say one, Brahman, and then two, Maya. No. It's like saying one, water, two, wave. No. There is no second reality called a wave. That wave is a form, a mode, an appearance of the water itself. All right. So the entire universe is created. How is it created? Does Maya transform Brahman into this? Has Brahman become minds and bodies and ice cream cones and mountains and all? No. This is an appearance in Brahman. That's why in Advaita Vedanta it's called Vivarta Karanam. Vivarta means there are two kinds of causality. Parinama and Vivarta. Parinama means the cause is transformed into the effect. Milk is transformed into yogurt. It's not that milk appears as yogurt. You can't say that it's not really yogurt, it's actually milk. It's actually yogurt. It was milk at one time. Now it's been transformed. Its appearance, taste, properties are all yogurt now. That's an actual transformation. But the snake and the rope is not actually transformed into a snake. The sky, the blue sky, the sky is not actually blue. Space does not have any color. It looks blue. The rope looks like a snake because of our error. Similarly, for us, Brahman looks like the world. It looks like Maya and all its products because of the very power of Maya. That very error, that power of Maya, it's all inherent in Maya itself. So this is the thing. There are other philosophies, other schools of Vedanta which will say Brahman is real, but by the power of Maya or Shakti, it is Brahman and Shakti together which have been transformed into the world. Parinamavada. So Vishishtadvaita, then Dvaita Vedanta, they all say it's an actual transformation. And Vedanta alone says that, Advaita Vedanta alone says that Brahman is the reality even now. It's not been transformed. What difference does it make? Huge, huge difference. If Brahman has actually been transformed into the world, then that's it, you're trapped. This is real, your body is real, your troubles and all, that's the reality that there exists, and there exists some God who can help you. That's the approach in Dvaita Vedanta, Vishishtadvaita Vedanta, or other schools, the realistic schools of Vedanta. Why realistic in what sense? Not that they are realistic and we are impractical. There's realistic schools in the sense that the world is real, creation is real. If creation is real, so has Brahman been transformed into it, then the Brahman no longer exists? Or you'll say, no, Brahman exists, a part of it has been transformed. Shankaracharya said, he gives the chicken example in those days. He says it's like, part has been transformed. Okay, you can eat the top part of the chicken and other part will lay eggs for you also. Doesn't work. Not only that, another thing. If Brahman is real, the world is an appearance, knowledge will work. An appearance which is caused by my ignorance of the reality, it can be corrected by knowledge. But if Brahman is actually transformed, knowledge will not help you. Knowledge can tell you that at most, originally this was Brahman and now it has been transformed. Maybe Brahman still exists in heaven, but now we are stuck here on a pretty real mess. No amount of Vedantic inquiry will help you to do anything at all. All right, so this is the idea of Brahman. Now what's going to happen? He says here that this Brahman can be indicated in two ways. In the Upanishads, it's indicated in two ways. One is negative way. Not this, not this. By doing this, we reach Brahman. Or another way is positive way. Infinite existence, consciousness, bliss is Brahman. You say something about it. Instead of saying not this, it's not this, not this, not this, and then you get Brahman. Or you say infinite existence, consciousness, bliss is Brahman. These are the two ways in which Brahman is taught in the Upanishads. Also, Brahman in the Upanishads means two things. One is the absolute reality, Nirguna Brahman, beyond Maya. The other one is Saguna Brahman, Ishvara, Bhagavan, God, Brahman plus Maya, which is appearing as all this. Now, if it is appearing as all this, what is the nature of all this? It must be Brahman. In the diagram, you're seeing Brahman here and the world there. But really, as I've told you, this is an analytic diagram. I'm separating in order to understand. Really, if I were to draw it, then this would all be there and Brahman would be the background for all of it. Background means this itself is appearing in this. All this is included here. This should include all of it. Oh, so Brahman is the collection of all of these things? Not collection. It is that which is appearing as all of these things. Here the film example is very interesting. So this one boy who went to see a film, he had never seen a movie. And his father said, I'll take you to the city, big city, to the movie hall. This example is outdated, obsolete now. There's nobody, no little boy who has not seen a movie. Even in the, at least in the mobile phone would have seen a movie. But anyway, imagine that. He goes to a city to see a movie. And on the way, his father tells him, there's a screen on which pictures are appearing. Right? And there'll be sound, and that's a movie. So the boy and his father enter the movie hall. And the important thing is that the movie has started. That's what's the problem in our lives. We are thrust into a movie which has already started. If we saw things at the beginning, or if we had seen the end of the last movie, we would have realized what's going on. But no, we are thrust into a hall where the movie has started. And just like everybody else, the boy gets absorbed in the movie. And after some time, I always tell this with the imagery of the Mahāvākyas. Maybe Arjuna is being taught by Krishna. So after some time, the boy whispers to the father, Father, which is the screen? You said there's a screen on which all the pictures appear. And the father whispers, there, right there, in front of you, there. You can use this example. There, right there, in front of you. That's the screen. Then the boy asks, let's take this example. The boy asks, oh, the screen. Is it Swami? Is Swami the screen? No. It's behind Swami. Oh, the blackboard, the whiteboard is the screen. No. Behind this whiteboard. Oh, you mean the wooden wall is the screen? No. You just put all of them aside, take all these pictures away, that's the screen. So the screen is nothing. No. It's all of it. Oh, screen is a collection of Swami and whiteboard and wooden wall. That is what the screen is. No. How will you explain what the screen is? Because whatever you point to, there's a picture. Now, there are two ways of understanding what the screen is. One is switch off those pictures. In the movie interval, when the movie is shut down and the halls come on in the light, when this is switched off, you see, oh, this is the screen. And this is on which the movies appear. Or that's the yogic way. Shut everything down, go into samadhi, and you realize the underlying reality of all of it. You see for yourself. Or there is another way. You understand how the screen works. You begin to see what is the picture and what could be the screen. Then you see, even now, if I ask you, are you seeing the pictures? You'll say yes. If I ask you, are you seeing the screen? You'll say, yeah, of course. That's what I'm looking at. Because you understand the difference between screen and pictures. And you know in what sense it's called the TV screen and in what sense it's called pictures. Pictures are all appearances in the screen. Similarly, the enlightened one knows here, by looking at the world, there are two ways. One is shut out the experience of the world, sit in nirvikalpa samadhi, and realize, I am this. Or the other way is, you look at this and understand underlying all of this is Brahman. But in that case you have only understood, you have not seen. Is that really true? When you're looking at the screen, are you not really seeing the screen? You are. As long as you understand what a screen is, you are seeing the screen. What else are you seeing? So the enlightened person, with eyes open, sees Brahman. Sees means in the sense of knows Brahman. Knows in the sense, I am Brahman. And with eyes closed also, same thing. Eyes open and closed means not sleeping, waking. In engaging with the world and in meditation, in samadhi. Sees the same thing. Now, the point of all of this discussion is, we were trying to understand what does tat mean. So already I have mentioned that tat means Brahman, and in the Upanishads, Brahman is defined as that from which all of this has come. And the further definition of that, further understanding of the definition is, it is Satchidananda plus Maya. But even Maya is an appearance in Satchidananda. In reality, it is Satchidananda. If you do not this, neti neti, you will end up with Satchidananda alone. That is the meaning of Tat. So, we get two meanings of Tat. Two meanings of Tat. One is the direct meaning, Vachyartha. The literal meaning, direct meaning. What is the literal meaning of Tat? The Vachyartha of Tat, God. What God? What we know from religion, what we know from the Upanishads, Vedanta, from the teachers. God is the creator, God is all powerful, God is all loving, God is the controller of everything, omnipotent, omniscient, that God. This. And we Hindus, Swami Vivekananda said, we worship a transcendent, immanent God. What is the transcendent God? This. What is the immanent God? This one underlying all of this. What is the transcendent screen when the pictures are switched off? What is the immanent screen? When all the pictures are there, the screen is right there. That is the immanent screen, in and through all of that, underlying all of it. So, that is called God, transcendent, immanent reality. But, when we do the negation, not this, we come to Satchidananda itself, that is called the Lakshyartha, the implied meaning. Why are we doing this? Vakyartha, Lakshyartha, direct meaning, implied meaning. Because remember, we are trying to understand the meaning of these words. So directly, when you go for the meaning of the word Tat, we find in the Upanishads, it is that from which the universe has come, in which the universe exists, it's all powerful, it is God and all of that. And when we investigate further, again using the Upanishads. How do we investigate using the Upanishads? There are those definitions which give us not this, and point towards only Satchidananda, Atman or Brahman. So now we have two meanings of each of these, Tat and Tvam. The two meanings of Tvam are, when you say Tvam, you, what is the direct meaning? Consciousness plus one causal body, one mind, one subtle body, and one physical body. This is you. When you call me, hey you, by that I mean this, and of course I am consciousness. Each one of us has this meaning of the word you. And then we have Lakshyartha, implied meaning. Implied meaning is when we do an inquiry, we begin to see that this is, the body is, physical body is an incidental part. It has come, it will go. But it does not limit or define me. Even the mind and the thoughts, memories and all of that also incidental to me. For various reasons which we saw. And the causal body is also an object to me. I am actually, really consciousness, existence, consciousness bliss. That is the Lakshyartha, implied meaning of Tvam. Like that Tat also we got two meanings. One is the direct meaning of Tat, which is this Satchidananda plus Maya plus all of it. Satchidananda, the entire causal reality, that is a causal body, that is Maya. The entire subtle body, that is the cosmic mind. And the entire, all physical bodies plus the physical universe, that is the physical body, Sthula Sharira, which is something that Arjuna had a vision of in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So that is the direct meaning of the word God, Brahman, Tat. And the implied meaning is, when you deny all that, you end up with this, Atman Brahman. Now do you see where it is beginning to lead? If you say Tat Tvam Asi, you are that. If you take the direct meaning of you, consciousness limited to this much. And if you take the direct meaning of Tat, just consciousness and all of this, they cannot be the same. I'll repeat. Tattvam Asi means you are that. Who are you? Here, this fellow. And of course this mind. And he has this causal body. And his consciousness also. Consciousness, causal body, subtle body, one body, physical body. That's you. You are that. What is that? Consciousness and all of this. How can it be so? How can one atom be equal to the entire universe? How can one drop be equal to the ocean? This is the ocean. All of this vast universe. Past, present and future. And we are only one little thing here. One creature. How can that one creature be equal to, with exactly the same as the all? How can that one wave be the entire lake? Not possible. But in what sense are the lake and the wave the same as water? What is the underlying reality of the wave and of the lake also? What is, in another way, what is more real than both lake and wave? Water. Why do I say water is more real than lake and wave? Because the existence of the wave and the existence of the entire lake depends on water. If the water evaporates, the lake is also gone, waves are also gone. But water remains. It can remain as a water vapor. Similarly, here the underlying reality of this. So now how do we say, in what sense is Tat and Tvam the same? We will see now. In the sense of this one, of Atman or Brahman. If you subtract, if you look away from what is on this side, we said the implied meaning of you is this, and the implied meaning of that is this. So you and that are same here. But once you come to the level of the body or the mind or the physical universe, there is a vast difference between God and man. In fact, this also answers the criticism of the dualistic schools against the non-dualistic schools. They say, you are blasphemers, Mayavadi. How dare you say you are the same as my beloved God? You are this little miserable, pathetic creature, and God is, see, all-pervasive, omniscient, omnipotent. How can you be the same? How much do you pervade? This much. Only one corner of a little room. God pervades the entire universe. How can you be the same as God? How much do you know? So little. And whatever you have known, you are continuously forgetting. God is omniscient, knows everything in detail. How can you be the same? How much power do you have? So little. How much power does God have? Omnipotent, all-powerful. How can you be God? But then what are they comparing? They are comparing the Vakyartha, the literal meaning of you and the literal meaning of God. In Advaitic sense, Tattvamasi has meaning only in the Lakshyartha, in the implied meaning. Both are the underlying reality. In that sense, yes. You might say, so don't they get it? The problem is they don't agree with this. There is an underlying reality, the implied meaning. They'll say, no, there's no such thing. There's only this physical world, miserable creatures being born again and again, and an all-powerful God. That's it. Yeah, so it's a limited view of God. Hold on to the questions. Let me just go forward a little bit, and then we will take the questions. All right. Now let's go ahead with an investigation. What are we doing? Investigation into Tat. The verse said that 28th verse, it said that the meaning of the word thou is thus ascertained. Thus ascertained as we have ascertained till now. Now one should think over what is meant by the word that. And we will see by the word that is meant two things. One is direct meaning, vachyartha. Another one is implied meaning, lakshyartha. And he said, also gave us a clue. If you go to the Upanishads, you will find Brahman is defined in two ways. One is positive, one is negative. Negative, neti neti. Positive, this is Brahman. And by Brahman, the direct meaning will be, vachyartha will be God, Brahman plus Maya and all the powers. And the implied meaning, lakshyartha, will be Brahman itself, Satchidananda. Yes. Now let's go on. One more important point. When we were investigating, have you noticed, when we were investigating I, the meaning of the word you, notice how much was depending on experience. We are experiencing ourselves. Body, mind, we are all experiencing it. But right now what I am speaking, it seems to be speaking in an entirely different way. Brahman, Maya, creator of the universe. You might ask at this point, how do you know? How do you know all this? We know it from the Upanishads. We know it from the scriptures. So one characteristic of Brahman, of God, is paroksha. It is indirect. One characteristic of yourself is direct. You directly experience yourself, aparoksha. Tat and tvam, the difference. One characteristic of tvam is I experience myself directly. That's why I can deny the entire universe, but I can never deny myself. But the Advaitin, he can say the whole universe is an appearance, is not real. But he can never say I am not real. My own existence is directly evident to me. It's experience. Your own existence is experience to yourself. That's what Descartes could not deny. The French mathematician, philosopher, when we study mathematics, we come across it, Cartesian coordinates. He was a great mathematician, but also a great philosopher. And he is known for, I think, therefore I am. Cogito ergo sum. What he did was, he was trying to find out what is it that we can be certain of. He found everything can be doubted in this world. That I am sitting here may not be true. I might be dreaming. I might be dreaming. I might be in a virtual reality. It's quite possible that I did not wake up in the afternoon after a nice lunch and I'm dreaming I am in the class. Quite possible. How do you know it's not possible? Can be doubted. So anything in this world, universe, can be doubted. But I, the doubter, I exist, that cannot be doubted. Because to doubt my own existence is also requires my own existence. When I say I am doubting myself, that doubting thought is there, that I must admit. So I, as the thinker of my thoughts, I do exist. Cogito ergo sum. He said the one thing we can be certain of is our own existence. And Vedanta says, when we say you, it is entirely based on our own existence. That's why that entire investigation which we did yesterday and day before yesterday proceeded entirely on our experience. I was talking about our day-to-day experiences. But God is not like that. Except for those few who have a direct experience of God. In general, when you talk about God, you're talking about God indirectly. Indirectly means it's not something that I experience directly. I am not seeing God. I am not hearing God. I am not walking around talking with God. I read about it. Holy people, sadhus and great spiritual teachers in my religion have told me God exists. The holy books, the Vedas, the Bible, the Quran, they declare that God exists. Paroksha, indirect. It is indirect. But the funny thing is, you know how it's indirect? Here the dream example will come in useful. Remember when I started, I gave you two things. One is a diagram and the dream example. In the dream example, suppose it's a dream, and I'm sitting here in a dream, I don't know it's a dream. Somebody comes and tells me, you know, this whole world you're looking at and experiencing, all of this is in the mind of a dreamer. Let's call him the great dreamer. The great dreamer. GD. In between you put O, G-O-D. So the great dreamer is dreaming all this. Then I will say, but that's a matter of faith. I can see this world, I can see myself, I can even see you, but this great dreamer, it's only after we awaken we'll begin to realize that it was the dreamer, in the dreamer's mind all of this was appearing, and furthermore I was the dreamer. So anyway, as far as we are concerned right now, tvam is directly experienced, aparoksha. I experience myself. Tat, God, is indirect. In Sanskrit, paroksha. Indirect in what sense? Learned from books, heard. Swami told me. How do you know God exists? Mother told me, father told me, Swami told me. Holy books, Gita, Upanishad is telling me, Bible is telling me, Quran is telling me. God exists. So, no, not just that. I really believe. You believe. Do you know that God exists? You don't know. So how do you know? Knowledge requires the deployment of the instruments of knowledge to get knowledge. By what instrument of knowledge did you know that God is there right now? By directly, is it presented to your consciousness? Is it something that you are seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching? Is it by some scientific inference, some kind of experiment have you found God? No. So it is a matter of belief. It's a matter we take on faith, indirectly revealed by our scriptures. Okay. So you will see what he will do in this section. We won't read the whole of it, next few verses. He will keep quoting from the Upanishads. Because he can't appeal to anything in your experience to show you here is God. He will keep quoting from the Upanishads to talk about God in two ways, Brahman in two ways. One is the positive way, this is Brahman. Another is the negative way, neti neti, plus Brahman as Satchidananda plus Maya and all the powers of Brahman, all drawn from Upanishads. He will do that now. 29. Nirasta shesha samsara dosho. Nirasta shesha samsara dosho. Nirasta shesha samsara. Nirasta shesha samsara. Dosho sthuladi lakshana. Dosho sthuladi lakshana. Adrishyatwadi gunaka. Adrishyatwadi gunaka. Parakritatamo malaha. Parakritatamo malaha. Nirastatishayananda. Nirastatishayananda. Satya pragyana vigraha. Satya pragyana vigraha. Satta swalakshana purna. Satta swalakshana purna. Paramatmeti giyate. Paramatmeti giyate. The all-pervading being, absolutely free from all the impurities of transmigratory existence, defined in the Upanishads as not gross, etc., having the qualities of not being seen and so on, ever free from the taint of darkness, having no greater bliss than itself, the embodiment of existence knowledge, and having existence for its peculiar definition, is well known in the Vedantas to be the universal self. We are talking about tat, that. What is that? All of these are actually quotations from various Upanishads. He's just pointing to various Upanishads. Nirasta shesha samsara dosha. All the defects of this world which are produced by karma, we are all bound by the chains of karma, good and bad, beyond all the impurities of karma, all sin and limitation. Nirasta shesha dosha is Brahman. Astuladi lakshana. This refers to Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Astulam araswam adirgham. Astulam ananu araswam adirgham. Which means not gross, not subtle, not long, not short, all negative. Neti, neti, neti. Adrishyatwadi gunaka. It is characterized by imperceptibility. In Mandukya Upanishad, 7th mantra, Adrishyam agrahyam alakshanam achintyam abhyapadeshyam. It is not perceptible to any of the sense organs. You can't see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, touch it. Then agrahyam. You cannot get hold of it. by any motor organ. That means you can't walk up to it, you can't grasp it, you can't get instruments which can extract it, Brahman from this world. So, agrahyam, alakshanam, there's no way of inferring it also. Abhyavaharyam, you cannot enter into transaction with it. Then abhyapadeshyam, it cannot be named. But basically all of this is what? Not this, not this, not this. So that's one way of approaching Brahma. Parakrita tamo malaha, beyond all darkness. That's how Vivekananda often, when he says, Shrinvantu vishve amritasya putraha, aye dhamani divyani tastu. Listen, ye children of immortal bliss, those who dwell in the higher heavens, you too listen. Vedaham purusham mahantam, I have realized that infinite being. Tamasah parastad, beyond all darkness. Beyond all darkness, darkness of ignorance, birth and death, sorrow, misery. There is such a reality. And what's it like? Aditya varnam, tamasah parastad. Aditya varnam means blazing forth like the sun with the light of consciousness. Beyond the darkness of Maya. So, again the diagram you can see, literally it's showing that. Then niratishaya anandaha, nirastatishaya ananda. Nirastatishaya ananda means the bliss which admits of no exceeding. So, today in the morning we were discussing happiness, worldly happiness and spiritual happiness. And notice in both in cases of worldly happiness and spiritual happiness, there is less and more, coming and going, increasing and decreasing. But what is that happiness which has neither increase nor decrease, which neither comes nor goes, which is Brahman itself, Satchidananda. So that is Brahman. It is Ananda, which is not feeling, not a feeling reflected in the mind, but that which is the source of that feeling, the original face, not the reflected face. The original Ananda, not the reflected Ananda. What else? Satya, that means Sat, existence. Pragyana, consciousness. Vigraha means the form. What is the very nature of this Brahman? Then what, you keep saying, not this, not this. Tell me something positive. What is it? It is existence. But not an existing thing, existence itself. It is consciousness, pragyana, but not particular conscious experiences, consciousness itself. It is Ananda. Oh, which kind of Ananda? Not which kind of Ananda. That Ananda which does not come and go, does not increase and decrease, whose reflections, borrowings are all the Ananda in this universe. That is a positive way of indicating. And if you say, at the very minimum, he says, Satta Swalakshana, it is. Even in the Torah, it's there. I am that I am. What's the minimum thing you can say? The most precise thing you can say about this mystery? It is. Or it is isness itself. I am that I am. Whatever else you add to it, that is a mixture. But it is existence itself. Satta Swalakshana. Its own characteristic or its own unique nature is being, existence. Oh, then what is all the other stuff? Purnaha. It is complete. It includes everything else. There is nothing that is excluded. Then what about this world? It's included. It's an appearance of that existence. What about names and forms? Don't you often people think Nirguna Brahman Advaita Vedanta says if you remove names and forms, then you have Brahman of Advaita Vedanta. So as if on one side there are the discarded shells of names and forms, and now you have taken the peanuts out of the shells and eating the peanut of Brahman. And the shells are lying on the floor. That's name and form. No. Names and forms are all totally included. Aren't the forms of the waves and the bubble and the foam included in the water? Or are they floating somewhere outside the water? If you suck out all the water from the lake, don't do that. But if you do that, will lots of ghostly waves be left without any water? No. Names and forms are also included. Universe is also included. Good and bad is also included. But as appearances, not as the ultimate reality. The ultimate reality is Satchidananda. So in these two verses, Brahman has been taught as promised.
Negatively? How negatively? Beyond all the limitations of samsara. Neither short nor long, neither gross nor subtle. Then not perceptible. And also adi means etc. means not attainable by any kind of action, not inferable, not nameable, not thinkable, not negative. Parakrita tamo malaha. Beyond maya, beyond the darkness, all negative, not neti. Then next, positive. Unlimitless bliss, limitless existence, limitless consciousness. And it is existence itself. And yet complete. It does not leave anything else out. This is Brahman. Now all of this actually applies to Nirguna Brahman. But the direct meaning of Tat actually means Saguna Brahman. Brahman with attributes. And that's coming next. Sarvajñatvam pareshatvam. Sarvajñatvam pareshatvam. Tatha sampurna shaktita. Tatha sampurna shaktita. Vedai samathyate yasya. Samathyate yasya. Tad brahmetyavadharaya. Tad brahmetyavadharaya. Learn that Brahman is the being which has been proved in the Vedas to be all-knowing, all-powerful, and the supreme overlord of all. Now this is new. Where is this all-knowing coming from? Because of Maya. Where is all-powerful, where is it coming from? Because of Maya. Shakti, Sarva Shakti. The overlord, Brahman now becomes the controller of the universe. Brahman becomes the controller of the universe. Where is this controllership, lordship, Ishwaratva? Where is it coming from? Because of Maya. Brahman does not have all these glories by itself. It's sort of kind of a homeless bum. Brahman. No home, nothing. It's only when Maya comes, all these glories come to Brahman. Brahman becomes a god of this huge, vast universe. All-knowing, all-powerful. So there is a song. There are certain songs which are sung just before Durga Puja in Bengal. In Bengal, Durga Puja has a very domestic touch. You know what it is imagined as. So in earlier days, when there were joint families and all, the daughter would go away, would be given away in marriage, and she would go to the husband's house. And she would remain there. And she would come to visit her parents once in a year or sometimes. So this would be a really welcome occasion when the daughter comes back to visit her parents. It's all eagerly anticipated. And she also anticipates going back and telling all the stories of her experiences and all that. And they also want to see her after. So it's a very, like, father and mother, they dearly await the coming home of their dear child. Now, who is the father of Durga? Himalaya. And the mother of Durga. So they are awaiting the arrival of Durga. Now, before Durga Puja starts, there is a set of songs called Agamani songs. Agamani songs are sung where the mood is that the mother is coming home. And so, for example, Durga's mother is telling Durga's father, Himalaya, it's high time, go and get Durga. It's time she came home. And her husband, that no good Shiva, who is the no good son-in-law, he kicks up a fuss whenever she is here. He wants her back immediately. Well, tell her that I'm not going to send her back so easily this time. Then there is another beautiful song where the mother is telling the father, go and get Durga. One of the songs is this: when he goes and brings Durga back, the Durga has come. The mother is awestruck. She says, "Who is this you have got? My Durga was a little girl with 2 arms. Who is this with 10 arms? Standing on a lion, whose glory floods the entire universe. Who is this? Who have you got? I'm awestruck. Is this my child Durga? And then the lines go, her husband Shiva was a beggar, and he was always high on weed. Bhangor Bhikari. He was what do you call it? Ganja, hemp. He smoked ganja, and Bhikari means beggar. He was an ascetic. He doesn't have any glory at all. He's dressed in a tiger skin, and he has snakes around his neck, and he sits in meditation and he smokes ganja. But now, she asks Durga, is it true what I have heard? Because of your presence, that no good husband of yours is now the Lord of Kashi, Vishwanath, and on your doors there are now guards who guard your door, and even Brahma and other great gods, they wait outside for audience. They are waiting for an appointment with you. So such is the tremendous transformation. Because of what? The presence of Maya. That which was Satchidananda, some kind of, God knows what Satchidananda is. I don't see any sign of it. But now look, these stars and galaxies and blue whales and amoeba and human beings and civilizations and planets, and what tremendous activity is going on here, good and bad and karma, life after life. This whirling, this cosmos is just because of the presence of my daughter. So this is the wonderful thing, This is because of the presence of Maya. Sarvagyatvam Pareshvatvam. Sarvagya. Brahman suddenly becomes the knower of everything, omniscient. Pareshvatvam, the Lord of everything. Sampurna Shaktita, all powerful. Omnipotence. All this is nice. Where did you get all this? I don't see it. Vedai samathyate. The Vedas stand testimony to this. They say Vedas prove it. It's not proved. It's Vedas testify to this. All the theistic religions of the world testify to the omnipotence and omniscience, omnipresence of God. All right. Now I won't go any further with this. All the other verses which will go on up to verse 36, they all are quotations from various Upanishads. They tell you that it is Brahman which is the material cause of this universe. Out of Brahman alone this universe appears. It is Brahman which is the instrumental cause of this universe. It is Brahman who is the intelligence behind the creation of this universe. It is Brahman who is the controller of this universe. It is a Brahman who gives the results of karma to all jivas. And it says, karmanam phaladatritvam. All of this is because of the presence of Maya, Saguna Brahman, Ishvara. So this is the direct meaning of the word Tat. Indirect meaning or implied meaning, Satchidananda. Okay. Now we go on to what we started with, Tat Tvam Asi. We come back there to the statement Tat Tvam Asi. Now you might have got a feel for what he's going to say. In direct meaning, the dualists are correct. I am a tiny individual and God is, Durga. There's no connection. It is blasphemy to say. You dualists are correct to say that this individual little being is God. It's blasphemous. It's crazy. It is the heights or depths of megalomania. It's not true. But in the implied meaning, lakshyartha, which is the truth actually, there only one reality exists. Their Tattvamasi is true. Now, 37. We are now going to consider the meaning. Well, now we are equipped to understand Tattvamasi. Tattvang padartho nirnito. Nam padartho nirnito. Vakyarthas chintyate dhuna. Vakyarthas chintyate dhuna. Tadatmyam matra vakyartha. Tadatmyam matra vakyartha. Tayoreva padarthayo. Tayoreva padarthayo. What is meant by the word thou and also by the word that have been ascertained. The meaning of the sentence, thou art that, which is the identity of what are meant by those two words, is now going to be discussed. And in the brackets, Maharaj has translated, both the words have for their meanings the same existence, knowledge, bliss. How?
For the direct meaning, at the risk of repeating myself ad nauseum, direct meaning, they don't have the same meaning. Direct meaning, vakyartha. Direct meaning, literal meaning, dictionary meaning, what meaning you understand when you first hear God and man, God and human. You understand totally different things. God is consciousness, Maya, all cosmic, the mind, all cosmic bodies and the external universe. That is God. It's all. And when you say tvam, you, it means individual. Clearly they are not the same. But in the lakshyartha, implied meaning, first we did, I'm not the body, not the mind, then Chidananda Rupa Shivoham, that is Satchidananda, this one. And for God also we saw that all this is projection because of Maya, which is also nothing but an appearance in Satchidananda, which is the only reality that really exists. In that case, both are same, Tattvamasi.
What good does this do? A couple of observations before I go on into the analysis. What will go on to what? Analysis of the sentence, to understand the sentence, Tattvamasi. Couple of observations. One is, notice that the original problem was that
as long as we stop with the Sankhyan analysis, I am consciousness. Not body, not mind. And as consciousness, I have really no problems. But we saw the limitations of that. First of all, it leaves the entire universe unresolved. What is it? What's it for? And what's happening there? It trapped me once, it can trap me again. And it has not solved the problem of the universe. I have sort of saved myself by jumping out of the universe, as it were. And the Upanishad says, as long as a second exists, dvitiyad vai bhayam bhavati, it's a cause of potential trouble for you. Third, you are not really reached your infinite nature, because infinity is something that cannot be limited. But clearly this is a limit. You're up to this. From here is something that you are not. You have distinguished yourself from this. This is not true limitlessness. Now by doing this, how do I get limitlessness? How does this solve the problem, what we just did? Now we find I am Satchidananda. But with this Satchidananda, with Maya, is everything else. It is the water which appears as the foam, as the bubbles, as the waves, indeed even the tsunami wave. All of it is the water. And I am that water. Nothing here in this universe constitutes a second to me. If I am this individual, everything else is a second, third, fourth to me. But as Satchidananda, I now realize it is by Maya that I alone appear as this universe. Everything in this universe is an appearance of I alone in all these forms. Just like, here the dream example will be very useful. The moment I wake up from the dream, I realize that everything in the dream, including that little person who I thought I was, but everything else that little person was seeing and everybody else that little person was seeing, everything was I, the dreamer. I was the subject there, I was the object there. Vivekananda writes in his poem, he says, one alone exists. It appears as nature, soul. What is that one? This one alone. It is the individual appears as this and also as nature. This one alone exists. It appears as subject and object. Now, one second, let me finish this. Now, here in this universe, there is no second apart from me. One sadhu put it nicely. He says, Advaita does not require you to wipe out the experience of the universe. He said in Hindi, Advait प्रतीति को मिटाने के लिए नहीं है. अद्वैत आपको प्रतीति में निर्बाध बनाता, व्यवहार में निर्बाध बनाता है.
Advaita is not meant for wiping out the experience of this universe, wiping out the appearance of this universe. Advaita does not require you to do that. What does Advaita do? It makes you limitless in vyavahara. What does it mean? It's an amazing thing. Now when you realize you are the underlying reality of this entire universe, you are the great dreamer up in the sky. Now when you are back here, you are this guy. Now we can give him a halo. Yeah. We can give him a halo, right? He's enlightened now. Now, even while appearing back in this form, sees, I, Satchidananda. I still continue to have the mind and the body, and everything else around me seems the same, but I now know I am the background which appears as this entire universe, all these beings, living, non-living, human, non-human, as all the conscious experiences, in the thoughts, feelings, emotions, ideas, and everything that's happening in this universe, which appears to be happening, is nothing but I, this reality which I have known as my reality. There is nobody here who is a second to me, is other to me. All are one with me. All are in me as Brahman, and as Brahman, I am in all. And then you can still be this person. Go about his or her job, do whatever you have to do, but then life will be totally transformed. What fear will this person have? Will this person fear anybody or anything? Nothing. Will this person fear disease, death? Nothing. Will this person experience life, the ups and downs, the losses and pains of life? Yes. Will it hurt? Yes. And yet, no. Like Sri Ramakrishna, he'll be able to say, he was asked, how are you? And he says, in the cancer, it hurts. I can't eat. And then Hari Maharaj said, but sir, I see that you are in great bliss. And he says, yes, it is true. I am in great bliss. The rascal has found me out. How are you in great bliss? As this. How are you saying that you have cancer and you can't eat and it hurts? As this. Are there two truths? Not really. There's only one truth. But there's this transactional level also, in which this is also true at a certain level. But the deeper truth is always accessible to you now, after this breakthrough. All the advantages of Sankhya are available to you. And also being very happy and limitless in this world. Not only do you love others, they are you. The limit of love is oneness. It's not an other whom you are loving. You just see yourself in everybody. That's why for such people, highly spiritually advanced people, enlightened persons, I always noticed, they immediately make, in Bengali say, apon kore na, they make you their own. You feel entirely accepted totally as you are. There's no question of judging. There's no question of condemning. They also have no sense of superiority over others. They are really, really superior to everybody else. They're the only ones who are superior, but they have no sense of superiority at all. Because they see themselves as exactly as one with others. They see all others as Brahman also. Because that is, all others appear to them as Brahman. As Brahman who recalcitrantly refuses to acknowledge that he or she is Brahman. As somebody said, from an enlightened person's perspective, it is so amazing to deal with people. You know you are veritably dealing with gods who refuse to admit that they are gods. Yes, question. 2 questions. So I'll make 2 points, but first, yes, question? Yeah.
This realized soul, how does he regard or she regard the body that she or he has occupied up to that moment and the very mind that they have occupied up to that moment?
So as an appearance in Brahman, as Brahman appearing in this body form and the mind form, everything is Brahman for them.
Do they have any special affection for that body?
No. They feel it from the inside, like you and I would do. So they feel the pains and pleasures of that body, but they transcend it completely. They know that as reflected in all these minds, I feel them also. And sometimes they have these extraordinary abilities, even in that form, to feel through others also, sometimes. So many questions. Can you just hold on to the questions? The second point I want to make before I go on, because there's a little thing I need to get done before we finish today. I mean, the benefits of this are incalculable. This is called Jivan Mukti. If it's full blown, if the mind has been purified, it's a whole different subject. If the mind has been purified, if this knowledge is firmly established, then this person is free in life. It's called Jivan Mukti. Has absolutely no problem with anybody, and is a blessing to himself and a blessing to everybody else around. And others will also feel it in the presence of such a person, something extraordinary. Such persons are rare, but if you have come across such person, you are very blessed. And they transmit a fire which will not stop burning until you become enlightened yourself. All right. Now, the second point, hold on to your questions. The second point which I wanted to make, I'll make this quickly, but I've already said this earlier. You see, this is so dramatic, this tattvamasi, the way we understand this. All of spirituality and religion is covered here. There are two kinds of religion, let's call it spirituality. There are two kinds of spirituality. One, a tat-oriented spirituality, another is a tvam-oriented. One is searching for God, one is searching for the self. And if we see ourselves, we will fall in either one of these categories. We are all spiritual, but in different ways. Somebody will be asked, what are you searching for? I'm looking for God. I want to know God. I want to see God. Vivekananda went around asking, I want to see God. Another one might be, all right, God is interesting, but I'm on a journey of self-discovery. Who am I? What am I? We'll see. We fall in either of these categories. Not clearly, but little bit in this way or that way. We have these tendencies. The approaches are also different. In religion, some religions are tat-oriented, some are tvam-oriented. So the God-oriented religions, Shaivism, Vaishnavism, Shaktaism, they are about Shiva, Vishnu, Shakti, Durga. What are that? What are all those? Tat. That's what we are studying now, Tat. But some do not even talk about this God, Satchidananda with Maya and everything. They talk about, what am I? There's Buddhism, there's Jainism, there is Sankhya, there is Patanjali Yoga. Patanjali Yoga, there is Ishwara in Patanjali Yoga, but that's not central. It's Purusha which is to be realized. So all these streams are tat-oriented religions, tvam-oriented religions, self-inquiry-based religions. The methods are different in each case also. In the case of the tat-oriented religions, the methods are worship, scripture, faith, devotion, surrender. Often ritual, music, food, they might play a role in that. So that is devotional kind of religion. Bhakti, which you see the primary mode of worship, primary mode of spiritual activity in Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Vaishnavism, Shaktaism, Shaivism. The other one, the tat or the tvam-oriented religions, their main approach would be often meditative and philosophical. So if you go to a Buddhist, in general, often you will find in broadly speaking, elements are present in all. But you go to a Buddhist monastery, what do you see sitting in meditation? Where is God? Where is worship, music? No. Inquiry within. Or Sankhya, it's entirely philosophical. So self-inquiry, philosophy, that predominates. Each has its advantages and disadvantages. What is the great disadvantage of the God-oriented religion? Disadvantage. The disadvantage of the God-oriented religion, tat-oriented religion is exactly what we were doing now. You noted immediately, in the morning till morning, it was all experience, logic, rationality. I am not the body, not the mind. Body is changing, I am not changing. All our experience you're talking about. Suddenly now you're talking about God, Shiva, Durga, Kali, what not you started. Have you gone off your rocker or what? No, I'm quoting from the Upanishads, from the scriptures. So the disadvantage, if you might say, the weakness of the God-centered religion is it entirely depends on faith. It starts with faith. If you start with, I don't believe, then it won't start for you. It has to start with faith. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's a requisite. That's why you will see in the God-oriented religions, always, in all the God-oriented religions, there will be an attempt to prove the existence of God. So in Thomas Aquinas, 5 proofs of the existence of God. The great Nayayika in India, Udayanacharya, 9 proofs of the existence of God. What are they trying to do? Trying to prove because they know it can be doubted. And there will always be a struggle with doubt. Does God really exist? Every blow will shake my faith in God. Can shake my faith. Especially at the beginning. It will shake my faith. Does God exist at all in the face of so much trouble, suffering, unhappiness? Who knows? So, that is the problem with the Tat-oriented religions. The Tvam-oriented religions don't have this problem because, like Descartes discovered, my own existence cannot be doubted. No one in Buddhism, Jainism, Sankhya, Yoga tries to prove the existence of the self. It would be a foolish endeavor. Nobody doubts the existence of the self. I exist is not open to doubt. So that is the strength of the Tat-oriented, Tvam-oriented religion, You-oriented religion. What is the weakness? Well, then the weakness is that itself is the problem. I exist, no doubt, but my existence is the source of all the problems. I'm surrounded by 1,000 problems. I am the one in suffering. Whereas that is not a problem for God. God is omnipotent, omniscient. We just read the glories of Durga. God has no problem at all. God has only glory. If God exists. That's the only weak link in the chain. Now, what is my point in this rant? Notice I still have not brought Advaita into it. Now I am bringing Advaita into it. Advaita combines the advantages of both the approaches and overcomes their weaknesses. How so? Advaita shows you a spiritual path where the existence of the Atman is absolutely certain and directly experienced as you yourself, which is what we were doing till the morning, yesterday until the morning. Your own existence can't be doubted. So it's absolutely certain. And then shows that Atman itself has the unlimited nature of God, limitlessness. So the weakness of doubt cannot be there because your existence is certain. And the problems which surround one's own existence are shown to be overcome by the discovery of one's own limitlessness. That I am Ananta, I am infinite existence, I am infinite awareness, I am infinite consciousness. This is the extraordinary thing, not appreciated usually. Again, not my own discovery. I heard it from a sadhu in Uttarakhand who explained the whole world of spiritual endeavor in this way. Of course, he was a non-dualist, surprise, surprise. So, ending with the superiority of non-dualism. Okay. We just did this verse. So the meaning of the sentence will now be discussed. Should we take up questions? Do you remember your questions? Have you forgotten? All right, let's take up we'll start with Anandi. And you had questions there? Yes. So Ishwari and then Aka. Yes.
So, a thought experiment kind of a question. Is it even possible to conceive of Atman, Brahman without Maya?
No, it's not possible.
So, Advaita Vedanta, therefore, tries to justify Maya, just like theistic religions try to prove God. Isn't it?
No. See, conceive of Atman Brahman, you need a mind and a body and a world in which to do that. But that's already presented to you. You don't have to prove it.
No, but is it ever possible at all for Satchidananda for pure existence to be without Maya, without all these adjuncts, without
the other way around.
Yeah.
Sorry, without?
All these upadhis and all these. Is it possible?
Not only possible, it is. Right now, you are asking, is it possible for water to be without the waves? It is.
No. But that's where you invoke Maya, right?
Why?
Well, if there is Satchidananda and there is an Upadhi, that's why you say that this is Maya. The theistic religions, I'm just trying to think it the other way around. The theistic religions say this is reality as part of Vishishtadvaita, as part of God. So is it ever possible to have Satchidananda? No other proof of existence. No Maya, no.
But Maya is not.
World.
See, it's not
It's
that
just
Maya.
the appearance.
Yes. So Maya is an appearance. It is not a countable second to Satchidananda. I mean, Advaita is sort of little monomaniacal on logic. So existence is only Satchidananda. But then what about world and change and suffering, birth and death? We say those are appearances. And appearances are because of Maya. From an existence perspective, not one more thing has been admitted. So non-duality is maintained. That's all Advaitins are interested in. Let Maya exist, let Maya come. Now, another way of putting it this way is this. That's an old question of, at all, why all this? If I reverse the question, why not let Satchidananda exist by itself and why all this? Somerset Maugham once writes that he learnt about Brahman. He had come to meet Raman Maharshi and all. So he learnt about Brahman projecting the universe. He had a pretty good idea of Vedanta, actually. He wrote an essay later on. So he says, Brahman projected this universe. And with his dry British humor, he writes that one feels Brahman could have left well enough alone. One needn't have projected. We would have saved the world of trouble. But you look at poor Brahman. Brahman has two options. One is to project something or to be nothing, to project nothing. But that's what Brahman is doing. He's doing both. When the universe is there, Brahman has projected this universe. When the universe is not there, Brahman is existing as Brahman without projecting anything. It's like the screen. You say, why does the screen keep showing Swami? Why doesn't it exist by itself? It does. Look behind you. There. See? The screen can do two things. It can project a movie or it need not project a movie. And the poor screen is doing both. What else do you want from the screen? If Brahman did not project anything in the universe, then we would not be able to say anything because we wouldn't be there to complain. But one could still complain. What a useless Brahman. Couldn't he do something? Well, Brahman in reply does. And how it does everything possible. Multiverses are being, not only universe, multiverses are being projected and made to disappear like that. So, yes. Which one? It's choice. Once Maya comes, then the Upanishads speak of God. No. There is choice. Because Upanishads speak of God's total independence. Swatantriya. Maya makes it, limits our choice. But Maya gives full choice to God, Ishvara. As long as Maya is present. But from Advaita Vedanta, from Brahman point of view, there's no question of choice also. It's the only reality that exists. Then we will go to, yes.
Swamiji, in the, in the devotional way of life, you can turn to God in the time of suffering and you can say, I surrender and help me, or in times of great suffering. So what I'm just going to say, turn to myself, I can't help myself when I'm in deep suffering. Who do I turn to?
Turn to God. See, the moment we say, I am in deep suffering, you see? What's the paradigm that you're using? I am in deep suffering. I have COVID, or I have mental anxiety. But now, what Advaita would tell you is, do this tvam analysis. Who is this I? Who is suffering? Is it the body which has COVID? Is it the mind which has anxiety? Or is it the awareness to which the mind and body are appearing? Now the awareness, if you say it's the awareness, Then does the awareness have COVID? No. Does the awareness have anxiety? No. Anxiety appears to awareness in the form of the mind. When the mind disappears, anxiety still awareness still exists. Anxiety will not exist. So Advaita will use that analysis to see that within you is this awareness which is free of all suffering. When you say, I am suffering, you will say, I am not suffering. That is one way. That story about, I often tell that funny story about this gentleman in, say, in Delhi or Mumbai somewhere, who went to the mountains and to a monk and said, I am in great distress. हम बहुत दुखी हैं महात्मा जी. I am suffering so much. I am in great sorrow. And the monk said, do you experience your sorrow? He said, of course. That's why I have come to you. I am feeling it in so much pain. हम बहुत दुखी हैं. अपने दुख को जानते हो? Do you know your sorrow? Do you experience your sorrow? Yes. Then he says, in that case, you are the witness of the sorrow in your mind. You are not sorrowful. आप दुख के दृष्टा हो. आप दुखी नहीं हो. And then he said, you go and think in that way. And that man went and thought for a while, and if you do that, it actually helps. Even if one is not enlightened. For the enlightened person, it can do just like that. But until that time, it helps to see it as an object. And after some time, the punchline of the story comes next. After some time, that man went back to that monk and said, you are right. अब मैं बहुत शांत हूँ. I am now very peaceful. You are right. I am very peaceful now. मैं बहुत शांत हूँ. Immediately the monk scolded him. आप शांत नहीं हैं. आप शांति के दृष्टा हैं. You are not peaceful. You are the witness of the peace in your mind. See, we never complain when there is peace and joy in the mind. Oh, why is there so much peace and joy? No. It's equally an object in the mind. Now, this witness consciousness, it's not peaceful. It is peace itself. In the Bible it is said, the peace that passeth understanding. Understanding, I'm literally interpreting the Bible in terms of the Panchakosha. Understanding is Vijnanamaya, this one. What passeth understanding, transcends understanding, is the peace, is consciousness itself, awareness itself. That you are. Now suppose one may say, fine, but all of this doesn't seem to work when I'm in trouble. I feel, why doesn't it work? Then see, my identification with this is so strong that I am hit by trouble, and trouble seems to dig me in deeper into my body, mind, self. It targets me as if it selects me out from everything else, and I am this one in trouble. And I can't seem to transcend it. I sort of understand theoretically, but it doesn't feel helpful at that time. In that case, this Atman, Brahman, it is God for you. You can take refuge in God. As this person, you can take refuge in God. Krishna says, Arjuna asks him, is this path easier or is the worship of God easier? 12th chapter. And Krishna answers, devotional worship of God is easier. Why? He says, Klesho adhikas tarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hi gatir dukkham dehavadbhir avapyate. The path, those who take this path of I am Brahman, they like this path. For them, using this to overcome sorrows in the world is tough. It's a difficult path. Why is it difficult? He says, this path, what is this path? It's the path of an unmanifest ideal, avyakta. Unmanifest in what sense? It is, as we just saw, you can't see it, hear it, smell it, taste it, you can't think about it, you can't name it, you can't focus your mind on it. It's the witness of everything. So it's not manifest to you in any way. That path is difficult for whom? Krishna says, dehavadbhiravapyate. For those who are embodied. Now everybody is embodied. We are all embodied. Thakur Ma, Swamiji are also embodied. But dehavat means deeply stuck to this body-mind. Unable to shake it off. Shake it off means not like a dog shakes off water, not like that. It's that it's an object. Now that doesn't feel real to me. Just this step. Body is an object, mind is an object. I am awareness, being aware of mind, body. This doesn't feel real. It rather feels like I am mind, body. I'm searching for some consciousness this Swami told me about. then in that case this path will be difficult. Bhakti, entirely open to you. Someone like Turiyanandaji, he says, Vivekananda could say, I am Brahman, I am he, soham. I say, tuhu, tuhu. In Bengali he said, Amader sahoje ashe na ota. It doesn't come very honestly to me. But who is saying Turiyanandaji? One of the most austere, great non-dualists. But anyway, now other questions. We'll come back. Yeah, sorry.
So Swamiji,
yes.
No, again I'm going back to your diagram, but if Brahman is, from the text, is so free from the taint of darkness, is having no greater bliss than itself, it's so overpoweringly positive, how is it projecting so much pain and suffering?
It isn't. It's projecting both pain and suffering and freedom from pain and suffering. And remember, the pain and suffering that we see in this world is not directly attributable to God. So in all theistic religions, they spend a great deal of time saving God from the charge of partiality. No, that's a big problem. If God is so good, why is there so much trouble? And this is called the problem of evil. I gave a full talk on this in Calgary this time. You'll be interested to know that there are 24 answers to this. Oh, 24. Don't be too excited. None of them are particularly encouraging. Or none of them are particularly brilliant. The last one, this Professor Herman, he gives, is the Indian idea, he says, of the law of karma. He says there are defects in this answer, but better than all the other answers we have got in all civilizations, religions, literatures of the world. Why is there suffering in this world? And I think a deeper answer than that would be Maya. Notice one thing, suffering is not compulsory in this world. And the lives of enlightened people, spirituality, it shows us the way out of suffering. And in fact, we are all walking down that road. Yes.
So Swami, the theistic religions, they have it easy in many ways. It's faith, and that's what it is. There is no proof. You just have to believe.
Yes.
And till this afternoon, when we were studying tvam, there was a lot that it's self-study, right? So we can all relate to. Neti, we can all think about how we can make progress on that, but it really appeals to us, and the arguments you present are very powerful. But when we make this leap, tattvamasi, I think you mentioned it too, now this requires faith. It requires, you're a very good teacher, Shankaracharya has got a great text, but it requires faith. And so we need to make that leap based on faith. And my question, long-winded question, is why is it that Thakur said, I've seen God as clearly as I see you? Why is it that for 200 years we do not get that reinforcement from the realized souls that say that this is indeed the real truth? We see evolved souls. And in my mind, evolved souls are those who've made progress on the neti path. So they've discovered, I'm not this, much better than what we have. And we see them and they appeal to us. A lot of Swamis, again, it's not my place, but a lot of Swamis seem to me, they have made so much progress there on that metric. But are they here? And if they are, why don't they stand up and proclaim loudly, tattvamasi? And actually, I know it, I realize it, because that is something that the faith-based religions could never do. Right? We have to believe in Father in heaven. Right? That's your only choice. There is no other way.
Right.
So why don't we get this validation if this is true? Because it's in some ways the way we studied physics in school. Right? We couldn't really do all the experiments.
Yeah.
But we knew that Newtonian physics had been verified, and we could verify that in lab maybe. But the Einsteinian stuff we could not verify in the lab. But we knew enough people had verified it that it was true, even though we couldn't do it, right?
Right.
So why not the same thing over here? Because then all these questions become not that important, because that's the truth. So if the path is difficult, if I have to suffer to get there, that is fine, right? But the conviction, why don't we get that from the realized souls?
Simple answer to your question is yes, we do. Notice, when you say this depends on faith, where does the faith come from? Faith is not random. Faith also has its reasons. It has to be justified. So one would justify it on the basis of a scripture. This revered scripture of my religion, the Bible or the Gita, or in our case the Upanishads say so. This is what Shankaracharya is saying. That there is a God who created this universe, Saguna Brahman. How do I know all these things? Indirectly, through Upanishads. And also, and it's verified through the experiences of enlightened beings. That's why in our Upanishads, Swami Vivekananda said, Vedas are the spiritual truths discovered by rishis. So someone like Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna comes and says, I have seen God as clearly as I see you. So that, if you take that as proof enough, that is proof for what? Proof for the justification of your faith. I believe that God exists. Have you seen God face to face like Sri Ramakrishna? No. So it's not a matter of your experience. No, it's more a matter of my faith in Vivekananda, Ramakrishna, Ma Sharada. It's my faith in the great saints. And because they say all the scriptures are true, it's my faith in the scriptures. So it's faith. What Shankara is saying here is exactly what you are saying. I believe in the existence of God. I believe. Because it's supported by someone like Sri Ramakrishna. I truly believe this person cannot go wrong. And a whole community of sages and saints dating back to the most ancient times in every civilization. They say we have actually seen that such a thing exists. But Advaita goes beyond that. Advaita says you don't have to rely on that only. You must see for yourself. Not see for yourself in the sense of a mystical experience. Advaita goes more interestingly. The experience we already have is a doorway to this realization. What is the experience we have? The experience of your own life. Seer and seen, the 5 levels of our being, waking, dreaming, deep sleep. All of these which are continuously available to us all the time. These are the doorways to Brahman which we have already got. Why is it not verified or justified? It is. All of them are standing up for the truth. You know, what Tattvamasi, Satchidananda, what it says is true. Not only that, as Vivekananda says, if anybody says to you that I have seen but you cannot, hence you must believe in me, do not believe in such a person. But if someone says I have seen and you can too, then you believe in that person. Now this claim of direct experience is particularly appealing in our age, where increasingly it's difficult to just go on belief alone. So that's why Vivekananda says, have you seen God? I think it's very evocative for this age. I must see. Even in the Bhagavad Gita at one point, Arjuna says, I would like to see. That's what led to the 11th chapter. So, in Hinduism, in fact, all Indian religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, it's all a quest for direct experience of that reality. Now, that direct experience, you can get it, you must get it. Until then, it's faith. However, there are different modes of getting that direct experience. One is an entirely faith-based approach, a God-oriented approach, where I leave it to God, where I believe in God, worship God, have faith on God, and by the grace of God, one day God will reveal Himself, herself, itself to me. That's the bhakti path. And it works. People have like Mirabai and others, many others. Sri Ramakrishna, most powerfully of all. He just cried and wept to God, and he got that realization from the Divine Mother. Another is the yogic path, which says, no. Stop crying and weeping, stop believing in these things. I will show you. You sit in this way, you breathe in this way, withdraw your mind in this way, meditate in this way, you will see for yourself. That's what Vivekananda said. If God exists, I should be able to see God. If I have an immortal soul, I should be able to feel it. And remember, the first book he translated here, it was in New York itself, Raja Yoga, Patanjali Yoga, which is, he felt this is something that this modern world responds to, a method for directly having these experiences of God. But even here there's a problem, if I may say so. The problem is, these mystical experiences promised by Patanjali Yoga, these are not easily available to all. Very few have them. And they require rigorous practice over many years to come even close to getting any genuine experiences. And also, from the perspective of the lay person, or even the expert, the philosopher and the scientist, even those experiences are open to doubt. What doubt? Like mystics all over the world, what is the first thing people said about them? They're crazy. You're mad. What did half the people in Dakshineshwar tell about Sri Ramakrishna? That he is avatar, enlightened, God realized, I saw God. No, he's crazy. The mad Brahmin of Dakshineshwar. And today they might not say that. There might be more sophisticated ways of saying that. That the neuroscientific scan of your brain reveals, sir, that you have a stroke or like a little clot in this part of your brain. We don't doubt you feel one with the universe, but actually you are not one with the universe. You are having a hemorrhage. They could say that. And they would say that there's something in the brain which is making you feel like that. Yeah. I had a neuroscience discussion with this neuroscientist. It was called Science and Wisdom. And she was saying nowadays, saying that there's something called the default mode network in the brain, functionings of certain nervous parts of our brain. When the functioning of that is suppressed, then one feels this sense of oneness with everything, So Advaita Vedanta steps in there with a unique proposition. Not faith, as in bhakti traditions. Not even extraordinary experiences and in mystical yogic traditions. But let's just use something available to everybody all the time. I am the seer, this is the seen. Everybody has this mode of experience. It is just subject-object is the structure of all experience. This is enough to take you, it's a doorway to Brahman realization. Or waking, dreaming, deep sleep. This is everybody experiences. With this common quotidian experience, everyday experience, come to us. We will guide you step by step to this realization. This is the beauty of Advaita Vedanta. The thing is, even before realization, for the first time, many people say, for the first time, all of this begins to make sense. Bhakti, you don't even try to make it make sense. It is up to God. Yoga, you leave it to certain mystical experiences, then maybe possibly it will make sense. In Advaita, even with our limited understanding right now, it begins to make sense. Every step you take is a step based on rationality and experience. You say, Swami, you're saying that, but right now you quoted scriptures and Upanishad and the existence of a God. See, See, consciousness associated with mind and body, this is our experience. This is not very difficult to understand. But what is faith? That there is a consciousness associated with everything which we are calling God. Where is the proof of that? So that is God in religions, and the proof for that we look to mystics, we look to scriptures. Now, I will say, so in that case you will say that you require some amount of faith in God for this, because your whole process is being mediated through God. Tattvamasi, the tat, at least the vachyartha, the direct meaning of tat is the God of religion, which depends on faith. But notice, we actually don't need to accept that God of religion to get the benefit from this. You can do it in two ways. You can accept Upanishad says this, Gita says this, spiritual people say such a God exists. You can do that. Or you can dispense with this part. You can directly go to I am Satchidananda and then begin to consider this entire universe with respect to what you have found, Satchidananda. And you will begin to see that nothing in this universe can be different from that Satchidananda. That was the thrust of the talk, it from bit from chit. It is not mediated through God. Is it allowed in Advaita Vedanta? Yes. There are books like Ashtavakra, there are books like Avadhuta Gita, which bypass the whole God question. They will see that you are Satchidananda and that's all that you need to know. What they do is, so the real problem with this is, what stops you there is the Sankhyan problem. That, world remains apart from you. But then they will consider, what is this world in relation to me, the Satchidananda? You will begin to see it cannot be anything else but an appearance in Satchidananda. You have completely bypassed the God. Why don't you do it here? Because here I am interpreting a sentence which is taken from the Upanishads. I must interpret it in the sense in which it's given in the Upanishads. And the Upanishads, see, the traditional Advaita Vedanta will always say, take this path. Because it makes it much easier. And it does integrate the Tat type of religion and the Tvam type of religion. Tat type of spiritual quest and the Tvam type of spiritual quest. And just by the way, what you said about science, as you said, we don't verify all the experiments of science. We take it for granted that there is a community of scientists who have verified and can verify all these things, and therefore we take it on authority. I remember I was at Harvard a couple of years back, and I was rushing off to a seminar. There was a book being presented, a book launch, like how science works or something like that, the scientific method. And this lady who had written this book, she was going to give a book talk. And I was going from my Buddhism class by Professor Garfield. And I told him I'm going to this class where they're going to talk about how science works. And Professor Garfield said, well, they better not say science is, why science is true. That was the thing. So, well, they better not say that science is true because scientists say so. And believe it or not, that was the thrust of the entire presentation. Yes, she said it is. The book explains in detail. She said exactly what you said. She said, people have this schoolboy idea that science means experimentation, hypothesis, data, and checking with data and coming to verifying hypothesis. She says, no, I am a scientist. I have never put up a hypothesis or collected data or checked anything in my life. Science, she said, it works in a community of experts who check and vet your work, and there will be some areas in which experiments are done, data is collected, and verifications are done. But say, for example, a publication, a paper, it goes to a community of experts, people in your field who will give their opinion on it, whether it should be published or not. It works because the community testifies that it should work. So I went back and told Professor Garfield, he's exactly what you said. Science is true because scientists say so. He was teaching Nagarjuna, the truth, the verification and the truth, they depend on each other. They rise and fall together, he was saying. All right, we have actually run out of time. So let me do the Shanti mantra, and then we can take up questions when we go down for tea. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ram Krishna Arpanamastu.